welcome. Happy fall. It's the most wonderful time of the year, in my opinion, at least. Fall is my favorite season. But I admit, I'm biased. I was born in the fall, so I can't help it. Also, happy birthday to all the Libras out there. We will be getting to you, but right now, I want to make good on my promise to get in the fixed sign energy alchemy download. And it is a collective read, so this is for everybody. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. Let's settle in for a spell and let's talk about it. I now really get why I felt like it wasn't time to bring in the fixed energy download. And the reason being is that today we got quite a transit going on. And it's something that is going to be impacting us, and it has the fixed energy as the center point of it. We have Mars in Scorpio square Pluto in Aquarius, okay? So this is a tense aspect. This is when we do have that feeling of being boxed in. We have a feeling of frustration. We have this feeling that what we want to initiate, what we want to move forward on is facing some kind of resistance or opposition, or in some way we are powerless to be able to affect the kind of change we want to see. And so we might take the initiative to move covertly. We might take the initiative to try to keep it clandestine. We may try to keep matters hidden, especially if the intentions are out of alignment with what is truly in the interest of the community, what is in the interest of the greater community, the greater collective. Also, your own community, people that you are connected to, and the way that they can be impacted by your choices. And this is, how do we do this? How do we get our needs met and at the same time make sure that it's not at the cost of something greater? All right, so this is when you can feel frustrated. This is when you may feel like just going for it anyway, but doing it in a way where you can try to avoid being discovered. This is when people may also know that their intentions aren't really on the up and up, and yet they can't help it. They want what they want, and so they can be lured, they can be beckoned to dance with that devil, but not realizing that in doing so, they're actually not just impacting their environment around them, but they're also impacting themselves because they're revering their chains, the things that hold them back, the things that prevent them from moving into greater expansion. This is when we can have issues with these so-called authority figures in our lives, or what we've allowed to become the authority over us. And we are grappling with how do we hold power, and how do we hold power responsibly? Well, there's a clue to that. The clue is in a certain eclipse energy, the ring of fire, that I got alerted to today, the same day that I realized that we have Mars square Pluto with the fixed stars absolutely running over that show. So running over that show. Yeah, I mean, maybe they want to run the show, the fixed energy wants to run the show. That's absolutely true. I mean, when we look at moving into the expansion of the Aquarian age, that's what wants to run over the show. The fixed energy, the traditional way of doing things. It's always been done this way. So no, we're going to dig in our heels deeper. We're not going to go along for that ride. You can't make us. But there is an eclipse energy coming in, ring of fire eclipse, and it's a little bit off in the future though. And I found out about it the same day today that I learned about this square aspect between Mars and Pluto. And I thought, well, this is really, really interesting. Very interesting, because I feel like it's giving a little benefit of 2020 hindsight as a gift from the future. And so the whole download for the fixed energy is coming in as a bit of precognition, also preparedness. And so I want to dive into this. The Ring of Fire solar eclipse is a partial solar eclipse. It will be coming in the sign of Aquarius. Again, there's that fixed energy again. On February 17th, 2026, breaking that down numerologically, that date arrives us to justice, Libra, the balance, the balancing of the scales. So what's going down right now in Libra season is going to directly thread back to this point, because we ushered in this cycle with the new moon eclipse in Virgo. Okay, so there's something we understand more clearly at that point. Now it's interesting, probably because of where it falls. I'll have to look into it a little bit more deeply when we get closer to that. But I did see a couple sites saying that the eclipse was going down in the sign of Pisces, but the vast majority were saying it was going down in Aquarius. So it might have that kind of cuspy sort of energy to it as well. Okay, I'll have to see what's going on there. I'll have to have a look and see what time the moon is transferring over, because it could be a very similar situation like it was with Virgo into Libra. Okay, it might just be that the moon is shifting, and depending on where you are in the world, for some of you it will be in Pisces, and for others of you it will be in Aquarius, which I think is very fitting, because it's still kind of bringing in that need for mutability. If we hope to find our way up north, due north to the north node of Pisces, we have to find the waterway. So we take that energy of justice and we take it down a little bit further, and what do we arrive at? We arrive at 2, the High Priestess. Okay, so this is the journey of the High Priestess. The story continues. This is the story, remember, of Emperor to Empress, Magician to High Priestess, and we are only beginning the journey of the hunt. So right now is the process of transfiguration, which requires a whole hell of a lot of mutability. All right, so I was really curious about this. I wanted to know the Sabian symbol for that particular Ring of Fire eclipse, because those rings of fire they are initiatory gateways. And so I was very curious, and I looked up, and it was the Sabian symbol of 28 degrees Aquarius, which is a tree felled and sawed. Okay, so with this coming in, this is about a need to be very careful with our use of natural resources. It's about expanding our perception in order to be able to see more deeply. We have to look beyond just the surface of things or our immediate desires for instant gratification. We have to consider long-term ramifications. And ultimately, we have to think of the goal being to offer warmth and sustenance to one's family, one's soul family, and one's greater community in the lens of the collective. Now, when we look at this, when we look at a tree felled and sawed, what we're looking at is working in harmony with the natural environment in order to have the resources we need that can carry us through leaner times. So if you think about that, what it means to fell and saw a tree, it's a lot of work, okay? It's a lot of work, and often it does take many hands. It's a pretty difficult task if you try to do that alone. So this requires working in partnership with others. It's not just about our own personal desires, but it's about what will serve the greater whole, and needing that sense of cooperation. Also, it takes total concentration, focus, in order to be able to execute that task. You have to be present. You have to be in the moment, especially with working with different kinds of machinery and such. You need to make sure that you're paying attention so you don't get unnecessarily injured, right? And you also have to have a complete lack of inhibition. You have to be all in with the task when you are felling and sawing a tree. And we do this so we can gather the firewood, so we can get things cooking in terms of the 4 treasures of the Tuatha De Danann, that cauldron of Dagda, so we can get things cooking, something that is an inexhaustible source of nourishment, but that Inexhaustible source of nourishment is also necessary for the road ahead. It's a long road ahead. 9:55 on the clock. 19, sun energy, Leo energy. Yes, it's a long way to Ragnarok. We're not there yet. And the wheel of fortune is turning. And we have to recognize that, one moment you're up, the next you're down. And so there is something coming through here about being prepared. As I'm looking up at the sky, I see the Roman numeral 5 in reverse. The Hierophant is in reverse. The way things have been traditionally done, 10:29 on the clock, that's the truth. That is the balance. It may seem a little disorderly, especially to fixed energies. Hierophant, Taurus energy. But the reality is, this is what brings about a state of balance, because what has been set in place, what has been fixed in place, what is rooted in tradition, does not serve the greater whole. It only serves a few. And so this is coming through quite strongly. There's a need to be prepared for the future. Queen of Cups in reverse, Scorpio. There is a need to prepare for the future. Some things that you have been holding on to, some things that you've been fixated on emotionally, they really do need to be released. Also, you need to take the lead off the emotions. That's like having something on a leash. Interesting. Something can't be contained, okay? Maybe you're trying to let your sensibilities sort of run the show instead of really acknowledging that the emotions are what's taking the lead in this situation. You may be viewing it through the lens of, I'm doing this because it's what makes sense, or it seems like the wisest course of action, when in reality it's something emotionally that still needs to be poured out or processed or purified that's actually the driving force here. It was really interesting the way it came out. But see, there's a lid here. There's a lid here on this cup, and this is in reverse. So it's like you need to take the lid off of it. You need to take the lead off of it as well. It's like it's not something that can be contained. You can't rein this in. You can't have this on a leash. It needs free range movement, okay? Free range movement. Do check out where you got your Mars, where you got your Pluto in your chart, what sign, what house. That'll let you know where you might be feeling a little boxed in, where you might be trying to have too much of a lead on something. You need to take the lid off of it. You need to blow out the cobwebs, okay? There is a need to be prepared for the future. There's also a need to cut through ambiguity with discernment. You need to have a discriminative kind of an awareness here, because there's a lot of subtle energies operating at this time. And see, I think that that's the thing here, is that there's sort of like more subtle energies running the show. But because there's like this sense of containment around it, we're not getting to the deeper levels of what's really going on there. And that's causing some blockages to what's needed to truly step into a position of empowerment that can bring about the transformation needed. There's also a need to buy time at this point, okay? Bide a little time so you can be a little bit more prepared. There's certain steps that need to be taken that require immediate action. There is a sense of immediacy here. Knowing what you need to do and having to throw yourself into it completely without distraction. Having a sense of discipline. This message of discipline has been coming in quite a bit. Bottom of the deck, okay? We got the 9 of Cups. Now, the 9 of Cups is an energy of personal gratification, personal satisfaction. All right, but what needs to be understood with this energy that we will be building up to and is already being introduced right now, it just hasn't gone through its maturation process yet. But if you're prepared for it now, you will have everything you need to ride this out when the time comes. So you won't have to have it uproot you like it would if you kind of like procrastinate put it off for another day. You need to understand that when we move through that ring of fire in February on the 17th of 2026, that your creature comforts may not be immediately available to you. And that's going to force you to engage more directly with life on an immediate level, meaning there's going to be very practical material concerns that come up. So if you're not doing this work now, it can be extremely destabilizing, right? Beware of the instant gratification because it will come with a cost. There's a need to have a spirited sort of enthusiasm while you approach the so-called mundane nuts and bolts of life at this time. And true mastery with the master maker on the scene requires passion and concentration. Two things that on surface level can seem like they're at odds with each other, but it's really not true, because once passion grabs a hold of you and you have that sense of purpose, it's like tunnel vision. You do get dialed in such a way. And so I think that this is also sort of about shedding the superfluous so you can really get down to what is essential, like what is my driving force right now. And not just a driving force in terms of superficial, like immediate gratification, or it looks really good on paper, or it looks really good posting it on social media, or it ticks all the boxes in terms of appearances, but where is the heart really at, okay? This is so important, because we have to be aware that the devil is in the details at this time, and that will become more prominent as we head into February of 2026. But the groundwork needs to be done now with an awareness that there's dangers. There's dangers. There are dangers to navigate. And if you're not paying attention to what's going on a macrocosmic level, on the worldwide stage, it's time to pay attention, because this requires our full attention. It's the difference between breakthrough or breakdown, okay? Breakthrough or breakdown. So I thought that was really fascinating. Yes, this is the truth, okay? We need this sword of discernment if we hope to come through this cycle with our crown intact. And what I mean by our crown intact, I mean our sense of independent thought, conscious awareness, not infiltrated by outside forces that sway us in such a way that due to not being prepared, we sort of buckle and we cave, okay? That's why it's so important. Again, comes in with the winter timing here, Ace of Swords. So this is something we need to have on our radar. This is stuff that's kind of coming in right now. It's not at the cross position yet. So let's see what we got here. That makes complete sense to me. We have the Chariot, Cancerian energy coming in with the Two of Wands. So see, right now you're kind of looking out over your future. You got your dreams for the kind of world you want to see come into being here. And you're ready to set things in motion, but there's certain elements that are not seen yet that do need to be resolved with the Sphinx energy there. There's a center point between being so fixed in either right or wrong. It's this or that. It's black or white. No, there's like a middle way through, and that is the way through here. The middle way has to consider all variables. This is something that's sort of just starting to come into conscious awareness, because I feel like there's been a lot of blockages in relation to getting one's desires met here. Yeah, it was 1906 on the clock. Gemini energy coming in with Leo there, being at that crossroads, having to make a choice. And seeing that the choice is really clear, that the way things have been going, they can't continue to go that way. The same actions can't be taken. Something does need to shift, but not wanting to look at it, not wanting to activate the self-knowledge that makes you aware that, okay, I need to do something here, and I really need to throw myself into it, and I can't put it off for another day. I need to get prepared right now. I need to do the so-called drudgery right now. I need to pull myself up by the bootstraps and do what needs to get done if I hope to see this through. If I hope to come into my time of the sun and, oh, I don't want to do it. This was the crossing energy. 10 of Wands. I don't want to do it. It's so much work. I'm tired. I'm burned out. Okay, if you're tired, if you're burned out, what do you need to do to adjust your schedule? What are you hanging on to that is superfluous? That is what needs to be shed. What is just the extras that really isn't part of what needs to be your main focus right now? Trim that down. Doesn't mean you have to completely get rid of it, but trim that back and bring in more focus to what you know you need to get done, but maybe it's not as fun or it doesn't give you the instant gratification, okay? It's not a time for escapism right now. This will become very clear. This is up ahead. And coming in with the number 10, I really picked this up that we're really going to be feeling the heat of this as we enter that third decanate of Libra territory as of October 13th onward. If you're not getting on this stuff, you will feel the pressure start to mount. Rejoice when you see this come in. It means that you're actually almost there. It's like the last push to get through something with the 10 of Wands, okay? So what do we got here? This is both in reverse. Yeah, see, power is being misused here. It's not being used in the correct way, and that's what we see. This is Mars in Scorpio square Pluto in Aquarius right here. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's not being willing to release, you know, someone's vision, someone's idea of how things need to move forward because they're frustrated that they can't have it their way. And no matter how many times they try to throw something at this, no matter how many times they try to get it to go the way they want it to go, they try to force it to fit, it won't happen because the power is being misused. Ace of Wands in reverse. Now, I'm bringing it in. It is an alchemy download. If you're using your alchemical powers in this way to try to force a certain result, then you're going to find things extremely frustrating. You're going to find that the more that you throw around at this time, the more burden you gather. And then when it does come to this point where you finally have to get to doing the work that you need to get done, instead of just letting it fall away gracefully like you could have and getting focused right now, you're going to find you have a lot more cleanup work to do. And that'll be karmic cleanup work as well, which will bury you down there in the South Node. That is the truth. Let's see if we can get a numerological equivalent of this. We got 2 aces there. That's 2 High Priestess energy. Plus the 10, that's 3 Empress energy. The Empress energy is blocked because the High Priestess is not making all things sound and is moving out of harmony, okay? So fixed energy, High Priestess, Empress energy, that would be the Taurus energy associated with Libra. So this has a lot to do with acquisition of a sense of worth, a sense of value, acquisition of finances, material things, okay? So yeah, this isn't going to cut it anymore. And then we add this to it. So we're at the 3, 2 again, okay? How the High Priestess archetype is looking at moving things forward, the way that they want to see things comes to 5. We saw the Roman numeral 5 up there in the sky, the Hierophant. This is not the way. This is not going to happen. It's going to take work to actually get something to move forward here, okay? So 5 plus 7 is 12. Pisces, the Hangman. You see? The Hangman. Ah, I get it. The Hangman. The Hangman. Okay? It's something that needs to be transformed. One's personal desires, okay, and then we take all that energy, 12, which breaks down to 3, again, the Empress, right? We add that to the 9, and it comes out to 12 again. So you see, it's like the Empress is being held hostage here because she's too fixed. and she's not allowing the creative power to become what it wants to be with the Wheel of Fortune here. And see, we got all the fixed sign energies here as well. What does it take to transform this sort of tricky, devilish influence here? Well, what it takes is, it takes the sword of discernment, and it takes mutability. Now, it's funny because we look at this and the Wheel of Fortune is represented as Sagittarius, mutable energy. And I've often equated this because of the Sagittarian influence with the serpent here and this little devilish character. I've often equated this with Ophiuchus. And then I was watching Neil deGrasse talk about Ophiuchus and with the precession of the equinoxes and the way everything is aligned out there, that what was originally designated as the different signs is kind of a moot point, because that's not even how things are aligned anymore. I mean, thousands of years have passed and things aren't aligned like that anymore. And so technically, all Ophiuchans are actually Librans right now. So see, it takes, and that's interesting because we got that 11 energy justice came in with the Aquarius, the solar eclipse, Ring of Fire. The last Ring of Fire eclipse occurred in Libra last year. So see, I feel like this is a full cycle of completion, but it's not going to come to a culmination point until that Ring of Fire in Aquarius. And in the meantime, because the work's not being done to make the way through, so what's needed can come in, and there can be this victory, not just for one, okay, not just for one, which just brings nothing but loss and sacrifice, but with nothing to show for it, but for what truly is in balance with justice coming in here with the Queen of Swords. Wow, okay? I love it, but look what comes through on the other side, true empowerment, the 4 energy. This is arriving to that place where everybody gets their just due. Everybody is acknowledged. Everybody gets their flowers. 2711 on the clock. Beautiful energy coming in there, I have to say, okay? Beautiful energy. I want to talk about the means of expansion with that Sabian symbol, because the means of expansion also involves a fixed sign, involves Leo, 2 degrees Leo. And there's not the most pleasant association with that. We're going to do the Gilded Tarot for this to see what needs to be alchemized. Whoa, there's the Hangman. Waiting to drop, waiting to come to the realization that yes, something wants to be birthed here. Look at that on the split. Aquarian energy coming in with that tower, but also hints of it right now, right? With the Mars and Scorpio square Pluto and Aquarius. Wow, that is really powerful. There is a moment of awakening. This is tying directly into the portal report I brought in late last night in the small hours. So if you have not had a chance to check that out, check it out. This energy coming through right now. Well, the imagery for Leo 2 degrees is an epidemic of mumps. Now this is the means of expansion, okay? And certainly there could be something rolling out on a PSYOP level in relation to this. This could be a way that the powers that be may try to clamp down. So do be aware of that. Do be aware of recognizing PSYOPs. Do recognize that when something is at the front of conscious awareness and we're trying to get the truth about certain details that are being avoided and evaded by the powers that be, this is when the PSYOPs start to roll out all kinds of distractions. And we got quite a bit of that going on right now, but we're not even going to get into that, okay? Just be on the lookout for that. I do feel like there will be so much more going on. Do understand that what rolls out right now, there's a lot of movable parts and there's a lot that's happening subversively. You may feel it. You may pick up the energy. Just because you can't see it and you don't know what's going on behind the curtain doesn't mean that there's not manipulation going down there, okay? What this particular, and you're like, how can this be the means of expansion, right? Well, it's a means of expansion if you can have awareness, the illumination around it. So let's get into this. This particular Sabian symbol means we need to acknowledge that there are widespread implications of any event. What we may think is just a little small detail, no big deal. I can get to that another time. I can leave that for another day. It can have ramifications that gain momentum that we can't even imagine now. 3:33 on the clock. 333 coming in as a synchronicity. It's like that threefold aspect. Maiden, mother, crone, you know? Lad, father, wizard, okay? It's that energy all held within the journey to that sense of awareness, that acknowledgement where the three become one. Because when we look at a triple aspect, it's not separate in any way. It's the same thing in other traditions where they call it the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It's the same thing. It's one united energy. Okay, so something may seem small or it's just a little part of this, but no, it has a greater impact on the whole because it's all unified. And we have to be aware of what we set in motion here too, because any individual can begin a so-called viral idea, you could say, that can take off. And it may not be something that is actually beneficial for the community. Just because something is viral, just because something's got a lot of traction, just because something is drawing attention and everybody's on board with it, doesn't mean it's a train you want to ride on, okay? And there are imbalances within us that can spread to people around us. And that's why we got to come back to the core tenet that a priestess or priest makes all things sound. A metaphysician makes all things sound. A true alchemist makes all things sound. And that starts with ourselves. It doesn't start outside of ourselves. We recognize when we are in this point of transformation that as within, so without. And there is a need to have this recognition. And so I feel like in order for the breakthrough to occur, there's going to be more experiences coming through that really highlight to one that you did that. You see that you did that. You're bemoaning your fate, but do you recognize how you set that in motion? You thought saying this thing to this person was just a little thing, no big deal. But then it made its rounds and then it got distorted and now it's something else entirely. And it's a cosmic mess, okay? It's that kind of energy, right? When we recognize that what we put out there can have a spreading effect, much like an epidemic, okay? And thereby affecting our entire life experience and the life experience of others. We have to recognize that we need to be more responsible with the way we are using our energy. And this is emphatically true if you're behaving in such a way where it's just about getting the immediate gratification and there's not a sense of emotional maturity that's understanding the ramifications of just sort of spilling the life force energy indiscriminately. This is coming through quite powerfully too around sexuality and working with that energy as well. And looking at it through the epidemic lens, this is a big problem right now. I mean, let's just keep it real. This is an adult channel. It's not for kids. It's not for kids. If you're under 18, you shouldn't be here. But there are some serious issues right now with people knowing that they have HIV and going out there and raw dogging and spreading that. And it's It's a problem. Why? Oh, because, I want it. I want it. I want it now. That's a very immature perspective. It's also very destructive. Okay, so be mindful of who you're sharing energy with too. Okay, that's important. Yeah, Ted was gnawing away there. Gnawing away there, right? Because these themes, when we look at these Sabian symbols, they absolutely can manifest. And it could be something like that too, where people are behaving unconsciously. There could be something that does get you physically caught up. Your health could suffer, and then you transmit it to somebody else, and something that you thought was hidden is suddenly common knowledge. And then there's further problems, right? But that's just one lens of looking through it. It's also much deeper than that. We have to understand that when we open ourselves, when we share ourselves with others, we're also not only opening to getting to share in the best of another, but we may also experience their worst, and vice versa. So this is why it's so necessary to sweep the way clear, tend to our own street, sweep our street clear here, and knowing that we can be impacted by others, and that we also have an impact on those same people. It's our business to make sure that we're not overwhelmed by the influence of others. You are precisely as big as what you love, and precisely as small as what you let annoy you. All right? Paraphrasing a little bit, but that's a Robert Anton Wilson quote, and it rings true. The next time you feel irritated or annoyed about something, look at it through that lens. And then what are you so, driven by that you say you love so much, Is it really the expression you want it to be? Does it move you into expansion, or does it actually keep you small? Does it keep you in that Eight of Swords? Does it keep you confined? Is it just a story you tell yourself? These are all things we need to look at. Okay, what is needed for expansion? First of all, rest a moment. Rest a moment so you can gain clarity, so you can move beyond the pain, the separation, any grief you're moving through. Just rest and get yourself aligned with your spirit so you can come to a truth that you can feel really solid in, all right? A truth that gives you clarity, not leads to further questions. You'll know you've arrived at your truth when all kinds of complication just falls away here. So let's see more about the alchemical point of transformation, please. Yeah, doing the work. Nine of Pentacles. It's about doing the work, investing in doing the work, even though you can't see yet what it's going to be. It's doing it for the sake of doing it. Just like when you fell and saw a tree, you got to go out there, you got to get all the gear that you need to make that happen. You got to go out into the woods. You can't do it alone. You need other people to help you. You got to bring down that tree. You got to, turn all of that into lumber and logs, and it's all to provide warmth and sustenance for yourself and the community as a whole during lean time, so you can make it through when there's less. It is the cauldron of Dagda. This is what we do need to invest in here. And this is where there's an inexhaustible supply. So you see, the Queen of Cups now is the lid off. Now there can be a little divine intervention. Now there can be a little divine timing to bring what's needed for purification, but also what's needed to fill up the reserves in the waterway so we can get where we need to go. We can nurture future growth that will be evident next summer, okay? We are closing out a turning of the wheel here. As of October 31st, according to the old 13 moon calendar from archaic times, we will be at the close. Yes, and Next summer, see, it's crossing energy. We're not at Ragnarok yet. Next summer, though, you will see how the seeds you plant now will become the field of your dreams. Although there's already indications peeking through if you are paying attention. Coming in with the Leo energy signature there, right? There is some kind of inspiration coming in, some kind of news coming in, Sagittarian energy. So that does bring like the Wheel of Fortune to mind since it already came out here. There is something that comes in that gets things turning. The wheel turns, but also the cogs get turning. There's a new way to bring our fire forward here, but we have to set it in motion, and it may require that we get some things lined up, get our ducks in the row, take care of some matters that have been put off, but it will get us where we need to go. It's what facilitates the arrival of the chariot that can take us to Ragnarok, okay? But this needs immediate attention, whatever this is. Like something foundational here really needs to be addressed, yes, because this sitting here at the crossroads, looking up to Spirit, saying, please set us free. Come on the scene. Where is my moment? Where's my answered prayer? No, it's self-knowledge you need to activate here. You are the one who has to open the road. You see, it's almost like, look, it's almost like Spirit's like, look, my hands are off of it. It's all up to you. Are you going to accept the self-knowledge that it's all up to you, your free will, your choice? Only you can free yourself. You're the one stealing your own time here. You're trying to blame me. You're trying to blame Spirit. Come on. I'm working through you. You're frustrating me. You got me held up in the Eight of Swords while you're out effing around, man. Like, can we get to it? Can we get to the real work here? The only one you're tricking here and tripping up is yourself. Something needs to change here. You can't keep going about things this way. Where you think that, you know, you're pulling something slick and you're getting away with something here, all you're doing with these Two of Swords left over is blocking your own passage here. This is what has you at the crossroads. Gemini energy, Leo energy coming out here. Communication is key, all right? The things that you don't say too, right? Like the things that you're not expressing because all those emotions were pent up. There's a need for emotional authenticity here to bring about transformation. Also a need to take accountability, to create the foundation you need to plant this seed that will be your field of dreams. Like no one's going to do it for you. If you're waiting for Spirit to come in and save the day, the divine timing is up to you. There's your clue. Yep. That's what gets you to the Stargate. And that Stargate, the ultimate Stargate, that ultimate Stargate will arrive with that ring of fire. Just like last year, you know. That Stargate with the ring of fire came in Libra and now is coming to its culmination point. That was one cycle. But once we close this out, we're heading to a new one. The new Stargate comes in. It starts a brand new cycle, a whole journey around that Wheel of Fortune. And what goes up must come down and vice versa here, okay? So it's a reflecting point and it's a balancing point. And you got a little pause before that comes in. But there's something here about make hay while the sun shines, while there's still this light left before we get into the cold of winter. It's time to really look at your routine and how you're investing your energy and those things that you know you need to do, but you've been putting off, you've been procrastinating on. Now it's time to set them in motion. It's very essential. Let me do one more round of this and then I'm going to do a cut of the deck here. Any more details about this for the collective? Any more details about this for the collective? There's also something here about, you know, that is Ishtar's stars. So it is the journey into the underworld and it mirrors the journey of Persephone. And we know there's not this coming back into a state of verdance until springtime. So there's also this key piece here as well when we look at Ishtar, you know, going before those gates, going before each of those gates and shedding a false adornment. So I feel like this is really being played out in your general environment. Like, what are you clinging to that's just a false adornment? It's something that kind of like props you up, or maybe you think it looks good, or you become overly identified with it. Those are the things that need to be stripped away so there can be a more authentic reflection point here that can really be part of what brings something healing, nourishing to the waterway, because that's the waterway is a collective energy as well. Okay, and there is something to learn here with the Page of Pentacles. It's a brand new learning cycle that is coming in here. Okay, cut of the deck. Queen of Wands, Leo energy coming out here, and on the other side, the Chariot, all right? Cancer, Leo, cusp energy coming in as well. This is also speaking of the transit. Yes, I feel that. It's like the passing of the baton. This is also speaking of the transit of Jupiter in the house of Cancer, which does bring a lot of blessings. There will be big blessings going around to everybody who is doing the work in this cycle, because it is the benevolence of Jupiter when it's in the house of Cancer. That's where it's in its exaltation, okay? That's when the mother archetype is very generous, all right? There is a way to receive this, and I do feel like you'll see what that is when there is sort of that transition time, that liminal space between Cancer and Leo season, okay? So that's when it's really going to come to a culmination, what you can't see right now. And this is the thing. People often get distracted about what's going on right now, and they don't think about that. Like, well, whatever's going on now will ultimately seed my future. So there is something to be mindful of here. Ooh, that's really interesting. So I'm looking up in the sky and I'm seeing a particular fairy that's from Froude's Fairy Oracle. I don't have my oracle with me right now. It's in another locale, but I still feel very connected to that whole world of fairy that was spun by Froude, and very much in touch with those energies, and I encounter them all the time. And what I'm seeing in the clouds right now is the soul shrinker. Okay, and that's this energy signature that needs to transform. The soul shrinker gets so fixated on what they want, and they so relentlessly pursue it that they cannot recognize that everything that is sort of decaying, falling away, festering, deteriorating in their life is directly related to their myopic view of what is truly a blessing. And in so doing, the blessing becomes somewhat of a curse. It's like a pox on one's life. And it's not until the light gets in and there's this ability to expand into more of that I am consciousness, the collective consciousness, that the light can get through and start to dissolve those holding patterns. So there's an immediate need to look at where we might be selfish, where we might only be thinking about what we need, when really in the future we're quickly going to come up to this juncture where you're going to need others. The true nature of life is interrelation, it's interdependence. And yes, you have your independence and your peace in it, but there does need to be cohesion and fusion with bringing energies together with others. If there's ever to be things like peace and harmony and what truly supports the greater good for all and not just a few, not just the 1%. All right, so that's what will get us moving forward. But there's a lot that needs to be learned along the way here. A lot that needs to be learned along the way. Let's see what elementals we need to work with at this time. And it was 49:11 on the clock. 13:11. Okay, so yes, some things need to close. That Scorpio energy is coming in to close things out. We're feeling the pressure right now Where you feel really kind of like frustrated with this square energy, that's the box you need to break down, okay? That's a clue. That's what you need to break down to free yourself from the Eight of Swords and be able to move into that expansion. So let's see what elementals need to assist us here. Break down the boxes so you can lay down a new foundation and build something in your place in the sun. This beautiful energy, gift of earth, okay? Foundation. The foundation is what is of the greatest importance right now, working with the Infinite Tarot here. I love this tarot deck. It's excellent. So let's get some more details about how we need to work our alchemy elementally right now. When we need to connect with the earth, we need to get grounded. We need to think about foundational matters, what will really sustain us at this time. We also need to be aware of not plundering resources. We need to be aware of tempering greed. Greed is what is plundering the resources on a macrocosmic level. So how do we contribute to that? You may say, oh, I have no part in that. Yes, you do. We all do. We all spend money. It's a currency, and it is a current of its own. So this is something to be mindful of. We're all connected to this energy, to the atrocities in the world, whether we like it or not. And that is the consciousness, the I am consciousness that is required to say, okay, I understand just by being born into it. I'm connected to all of this. So how can I do my part to make things sound? It starts with me. I have to balance myself out. I have to look at where I may be greedy. I have to look at where I may be too fixed or in too stubborn of a position. I have to look at what the immediacy of action is asking of me. What do I need to do to bring beauty and sacredness back to my life? And thereby letting that spill out and enter the waterway instead of polluting it, so it also nourishes others. Right? Bottom of the deck, yes, Six of Earth. There we go. There it is. There's that saxophone fetus ready to be born. Came on through from the portal report. Yes, this is working in harmony here with the earth, the sixth energy. It's also Venusian energy, Gemini energy as well, okay? So there is something new being born. It may be coming through something that you are communicating here that is grounding in your reality. You may be communicating something creatively, something you feel inspired to put out there. You may think it's no big deal. You've been putting that project on the shelf, but it's going to make a big difference. It contributes so much to the waterway. And where you were at the Two of Swords, now you get things flowing. And it's not the same river you were in before, because we can never enter the same river twice. So the river is mutable in and of itself. The waterway is mutable. It's always shifting, flowing, changing, evolving. And this is the river that carries us to the source.